Welcome to the Rage Against the Mainstream podcast for the first time. Our new friends from Frederick, Maryland, Half Heard Voices. I want to welcome you guys to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, what up?
So who do we have sitting with us today?
Want to go this way?
Yeah.
So Stefan, bass player.
Alex Connor, vocalist.
Dylan Baird, guitarist.
And Jeremy Sabine, guitarist.
Awesome. So I got into contact with you guys through CB Entertainment with Chris Bianchi. So how'd that whole partnership come about?
Sure. So this year was pretty much the year we became set on finding management. And I'm going to be honest with you, between blasting off so many emails and just connections and making contacts, he was just one of the folks I found somewhere, somehow. And I guess, we hit it off. And he's been wonderful so far, man. CB has done great by us.
Yeah, he's awesome. He'll always talk to us about stuff, and he just knows his shit so well. He's answered so many questions for us that we're like, oh, fuck, that's how that worked. We should have been doing that years ago, or it's funny.
Thanks, Chris.
So you guys aren't the only group in Maryland that's a part of the blanket there. You guys have Alika down by you guys too, right?
That's right.
Those cats rip.
Yeah.
Actually,
They're insane.
you nailed it, buddy. That's how I heard about Chris. Come to think of it, it was Alika.
Yeah.
That's who it was.
Yeah, Alika was one of the first bands with CB Entertainment that I actually interviewed. And me and RJ are actually pretty decent friends. And
Cool, man.
that's one of those things I was always grateful that I got into contact with Chris for.
Yeah.
Just to talk to all these guys, it's incredible.
Yeah, bro. We're actually we're playing with them October, what is it, the second or third week at Zen West here in Baltimore, Maryland. It's gonna be awesome. 14th, yeah, Saturday.
Nice. All right, so I guess let's start from the beginning here. Who are you and who are your influences?
Oh man, that changes daily, man. I would say from our first catalog, Dissidents, our first EP, that was extremely Killswitch Engage, Soilwork, and Periphery driven. And that was right about the time I started getting into more, like, I don't want to say virtuoso guitar playing, but cats like Al Joseph, Marcus, I can never pronounce his last name. Scafoli.
Mm-hmm.
So it was this cool intersection of me playing riffs that I was like stuff that I want to listen to and writing stuff that I actually enjoy listening to while pushing my lead work and being like, oh, I didn't know I could do a vibrato like that. Or, bending it certain ways or just articulating certain notes to give that metalcore vibe, like a different lens. Something that was more melodic than just like, oh, hard vocals in the verse and clean singing in the chorus, something that could stand alone without vocals and be a great composition. So I would say that iteration was just coming from the gut. And then the second EP, we went to 7 strings and, we were more driven on writing good verses, not saying our last stuff didn't have sufficient verses or, they weren't musically enjoyable to listen to, but we wanted every part to have a purpose instead of just being like, this verse works with the chorus. It relates like a sister riff. So I feel like the EP that we just released, 12 Way War, is more thematic in a way that it's like cohesive. You listen to all the songs, you're like, oh, that riff comes back in a clever way. Or that breakdown echoes something that happened in the beginning in a wise way. So,
yeah, I'd say we have a lot of progressive influence too. So between the Buried in Me is always one, and we already mentioned Periphery, but I really love like the Contortionist and Protest the Hero is one of my all-time favorite bands. So like we're kind of all over the place too, because I don't know, stuff is like I know you love Fear Factory, and I mean who doesn't, but. You know what I mean? Like we're just all over the place. So yeah.
That's awesome. So the one thing that, scanning through your guys' catalog that I found that was interesting is that the entire thing, it was like consistent throughout all the releases, that it didn't sound like it was another band with every new album. Like obviously you guys were expanding and everything, but it was, you were listening to Half Heard Voices the entire time. There was never a there was never a question on who it was. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
That makes me happy to hear.
Yeah. I think that goes back when I was laughing at that question because, you know, these songs were written like not months apart at a time, but I'll start one and then, you know, start chipping away and shaping it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this riff is sick. Let me start this other song. So it all depends on like what I was listening to that day. So I think that, you know, that has a heavy weight, and you listening to any of our stuff, you're like, oh, this still sounds like these guys, but maybe it might sound more like Within the Ruins, you know, or this one might be a little more ballady. It just all depends. But that's cool. That's like a compliment of the highest regard is, you know, they'll have like people were like, that watermark, we know it's happening. So
Yeah, right.
that means a lot, man.
Yeah, man.
not
We
a
just
problem.
I'm sorry. We always say we just write what we want to hear. You know, we try to, I don't know, not glob on to anything, or jokingly, we always say we try not to be campy about stuff. And actually, 3 out of 5 of us are music teachers, so we're like constantly intaking music, and I think that influences a lot of what Dill was saying, which is we're just always hearing something new, literally at work. So because we teach it, we tear it apart and then we put it back together, you know, throw it at a student. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know a lot of bands who lean into that, but I think that's one of our big things, man. You know, we're all music fans. We love going to shows. We love recording other artists. We're very, very into it, man.
So with the music teacher thing, like you guys like music teachers at a school or like a music shop or something like that?
Sure. Private instruction, guitar, drum, other pro audio lessons, all sorts of stuff. Actually, our drummer, Pat, who's not here, is the kind of the pro audio. Sometimes they'll teach recording, you know, modern recording and production.
Live sound, yeah.
Well, see, and that's the thing too that's very interesting about your guys' music. And I've checked like live videos and stuff, you know, because you always have to see if they suck live. Like that's always like the big thing there. And you know, like usually with like progressive bands, you can immediately tell if they don't have it in their live sound. And just like the proficiency and the technicality of your guys' music, it translates to live, and it's like that, you know, there's like no real difference between the album and live, and that's something that I always look for in music, and especially with heavier bands.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, that's what we strive for.
You know, I'm not sure if you were able to find it on YouTube, but we did a in-studio performance of some of the songs on the new album.
I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah, and we really wanted to prove exactly that. You know, we're actually playing and stuff, and you know, we're tight. And if you haven't seen those, what are there 3 out?
There's 3 right now.
Yeah. So I think we're actually going to put out one more here in the coming week or two. So
nice. And another thing that I absolutely love when heavier bands do this is when their vocalist is able to go from super harsh screams to extremely good, clean vocals. And I don't know if that's like a purposeful thing in your guys' writing or if it's just you're showcasing your abilities, but how does that whole thing like flow into your guys' sound?
I'd say that's the metalcore seeping in. That sound is, I mean, probably one of our biggest influences. I would say it's 50-50. It's that metalcore and, you know, progressive metal or not even technical.
Vocal production, though, is a huge part of our process.
Yeah.
Derek, our producer, is an awesome vocalist too, and like he and I we'll grind for hours, you know, tracking and writing things out, doing massive harmonization and
what we call chord stacks.
Yeah, arranging.
Chord stacks.
Yeah. So and then I'm also influenced a lot by like Mike Semeski, you know, previous vocalist for like Intervals and current vocalist for Raunchy and stuff. He's like a huge, he was a teacher of mine and a huge influence on me, and just like that kind of progressive style of like writing, stacking chords and like kind of making like another instrument out of the voice is like, yeah, a huge part of our composition and how we approach stuff too. I've never been a guy who's just like a fan of just like one-dimensional vocals. Like I love dynamics. And I always love bands where like the same guy screams and sings, you know, and just fucking does
Kill
it all.
Switch.
Yeah. Kill Switch. BT Bam. I mean, that was kind of like their thing. Is like he's an awesome singer, but he's also just fucking brutal, you know.
Oh yeah.
Doing it all, and you know, you maintaining your voice is always like a constant thing. It's always a constant thing for any singer, but especially with metal vocals, and it's all about just maintaining chops, practicing, doing the scales, and fucking just grinding it out so that you have that endurance.
It's almost piano-like. If you were to crack open one of our sessions for the, you know, recordings for any of the songs and just solo the vocal and, you know, another instrument or two, it's almost like you're hearing a song right there. You know what I mean? The vocals really are lines and chord stacks and counter melody on its own, which is pretty cool.
So, who is Half Heard Voices? When did the band start? How'd you guys get together?
So, Jeremy, so this was kind of a passion project back in 2018, and Steph and I, we were living together, and no, you were in Time Columns at the time.
Yeah,
Fucking math rock bands, yeah.
So Dylan and I had been playing in and out through bands since like middle school, and at the time, that was probably the most downtime we've had in 2018, and we decided to pretty much go for just a studio project, something we would release just for our own pleasure, never play shows, and of course that didn't happen because you know you become very what's the word, enticed by wanting to hear the songs live.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
That, and I remember sending it to an old bandmate of mine years ago. His name's Brian Koloff. And I played drums in this band called Obscure Signal, which is kind of like a DC up on the rising band. And shortly thereafter, they dissolved. But we still kept in contact. And he was a big inspiration for me on guitar. I was like, dude, check out these songs. Like, just tell me what you think. And he was like, when are you guys going to play these live? And I was like, I didn't think we were. Like, it was just like, oh, hey, like, you know, someone I look up to and a mentor is being like, dude, this stuff's fucking good. So that's when we really started taking it seriously. And we, you know, you, me, and Zach Gunther, who was in another band that I was in, he did vocals. And then Derek Ryan, our producer, did all the clean production. And after that, we're like, we need another guitarist. In comes Jeremy.
Yeah.
So
I played in a couple different projects with Stefan over the years. So we had played together, and then me and Alex were actually in a band.
Yeah,
well.
we had just gotten out of another band, Inoculum, that we had kind of been jamming in for like 4 years or something. Yeah.
So we were kind of shutting down that, and they were looking for somebody, and I was like, well, you know.
Yeah, I joined after the first EP, but like after hearing that first one, fuck, I should have joined. I should have got in there earlier. Yeah.
We have a joke about that. I don't know if we've ever told anybody. We asked Alex to be on that first EP, the darker one, Dissidents, and I just never heard back, man. So we kept moving. And
so it was too cool for us.
I was just doing my own thing, you know.
So
I was finding myself after getting out of like a big project, figuring stuff out. Yeah.
All credit due to Zach there on our first record singing. We still play some of those songs, and they never get old, man. We've been kind of reintroducing some of the old material in. So yeah, you hear Alex on 12 Way War officially for the first time, and and then we had the drummer juggle. You know,
oh God,
this was
every band has one, man.
Dude,
yeah,
it was so bad. I mean, we had at least 3 fill-in hired guns, and it's just like, all right, he can't play. All right, he can play. He's more of a death metal drummer. All right, like we're gonna be pushing the BPMs tonight. You know, we're gonna be pushing the click, and then we'd had another one who was more like just groove. It's like, all right, we're gonna be laying back tonight. So it was it was laughable in hindsight, but at the time it's stressful, man, because it's like you want to be as consistent as possible. And even though we play with in-ears and we run to a click, we still play off each other. You know, it's like we know what to expect now with our solid lineup. So, you know, playing with whoever one weekend, it's like, all right, I didn't expect that, Phil. Like, okay, let me try and like do something to comp to it. But dude, that went on for fucking 2, 3, 4 years. And then I remember because Patrick and I, we worked together at the same studio, and I was just mixing some demos for our upcoming album. And one day he was like, yo, what's that? I'm like, oh, this is some new shit, you know, that we're working on. He was like, oh, that sounds really good. And he walked away, and I was just text, do you want to try out for us? And he was like, yeah. And the dude learned pretty much the whole first EP.
Dude, that was fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Every week, dude, he would just come in and crush the songs.
Yeah. So, and I'm not saying that the songs are like out of this world hard on drums.
There's some pretty fucking intricate rhythms and shit on there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what they just did there.
Right.
So I was blown away.
So and that was that. And you know, after a couple rehearsals, the first show, we're like, all right, man, you want in? Just all right. Now the real work starts. So
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
So, what goes into a live production for a Half Heard Voices show? Because you guys have like the sampled stuff that goes into the songs, and like they're all intertwined and everything. How difficult is it to replicate this stuff live?
Sure. Let me start by saying if the samples were off, it would still sound like Half Heard.
Yeah.
I
feel like most times you can't really hear them that much anyway, depending on the venue.
Sound guys
because
just
it's so
like,
loud, right?
whatever.
Yeah, the sound is not full on, you know, melodic death like Euro metal where the strings are like just as loud, if not louder than the band. It really is just a reinforcement thing, and it's really just for our fun, our pleasure,
Like having our samples. I like having some, because I can only sing one note, but like I love harmony, so I love if I can put some harmonies in. But I mean, it's definitely not like super essential for us. With us, we just love having a click so that we can just be super tight and consistent. And then I would say another huge component of our rig is like our lights. You know, because we're running all this stuff through Ableton, you know, Jeremy and I have like slaved away like countless engineering hours, just like getting all our lights programmed and set up so that we have like a pretty, you know, mature like DMX and light setup so that everything's like fucking synced, and like when kicks are going, it's like bah, 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 you know, everything's just like flash and syncopated, you know.
Dude,
tight.
talk about Jerry went into like moods of the lights, which completely like blew my mind. You were talking about like, yeah, withered sun at this one part, it feels warm, so we're going all yellow.
Yeah.
It's like a
yeah.
Like, go on about that, dude. That shit was wild.
Audio visual.
You just whatever. I mean, I sit in my basement when we do, you know, we get a new track, and I just basically listen to the song like 8,000 times as because you have to do the lights like note by note with MIDI. But since we have the backing tracks, it's opened up, you know, hey, we can actually sync the lights up to this and have, you know, a live light show because we're doing the clips, so why not? And I'll pass, you know, like Alex and I's last.
We've been talking about it for years,
but we never played the click, so we were like, we could do like a little bit, but we could never like start like painting a visual picture that goes to the music.
Yeah.
And so since we had the backing tracks, it's like, all right, game on. And so we went out and bought like a couple $1,000s worth of lights and just, you know, nerded out on YouTube and figured out how to program them and just went at it. So.
Well, that's the best part about the time period we live in now, is that you can just jump on YouTube and become a pro in minutes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself.
Some of this stuff, it was so niche, like we had to like figure it out though. Like, there was like a guy who had a video that was kind of like what we want to do. And I'm like, oh, so Mac has this internal built-in digital MIDI interface that I could actually use to route from Lightshow to Ableton so that I can fucking actually communicate. Like, yeah, dude, like it was, yeah.
It's a sensory
thing. Yeah, we're pretty proud of it. Yeah.
It's a sensory thing. It's really fun to play.
It sucks to set up. It sucks carrying lights. Fucking takes where like you're standing in front of people. You're like, this one goes to this one, and then that one goes to that one. And you're like, you feel like an idiot, but
Well worth it.
Yeah,
It's well
it's
worth
always
it.
worth it.
I
Yeah.
talk to people like, where were you the whole show? It's like, I'm just back there plugging shit. Like, this is what I do.
So is that something that was always like a goal for you guys to provide like a whole like you were saying like a sensory type thing to give it like an all immersive experience?
I would say that
Yeah.
first time I heard that, it was from Jeremy, and he just went, dude, can we just have, I mean, there's a healthy competition thing, and I like that stuff. And he was like, let's just get the best lights, man.
Yeah.
What's it going to take to have the best lights at these shows? And they just spearheaded that thing. And now, I mean, it's a major part of what we do. And people have come to like love them and just comment on them just about every show.
Yeah.
And
Next thing is probably like projector, like
yeah,
complete audio visual, like
I need a
just
bigger trailer.
video. You know, that's what I want to do. As we build our music video catalog, but also I have like audio visual software that you can do so many cool things with our band's art or assets, and make fire and stuff that like wavers to the song, to the kick drum or whatever.
Solo fire.
Yeah, that's the next step.
Alex is killer. Like he gets into like 3D rendering and doing like the Blender thing. So he's
That's awesome.
I've been doing a lot of Unreal Engine game development stuff too. Yeah,
He's going at it.
So you're saying like a Tupac like hologram might be something in the near future.
Yeah, that's
Wait a
exactly what I'm
second.
going for.
Wait a second.
So I was going through your guys' YouTube channel and stuff, and I saw that Solstice has 69,000 views on YouTube. Congratulations on that.
God, sorry, couldn't help it. If I didn't do it, someone would.
Yeah. So how does it feel to have something like this? And it all seems like you guys are real like DIY, like do it yourself type people. How does it feel to have like that level of success, especially on a platform that's so saturated with all these type of bands nowadays?
What we were talking about earlier, just a couple minutes ago, I mean, we have Google scholared our way into learning how to do all this stuff. You know what I mean? And I think before Chris came in and, offered his amazing services to us, it really was as DIY as it can get. And 69 is almost 70, which is almost 100. I think we're always reaching for the next little goal.
We just
You know
want
what I
more.
mean?
Goddamn it. I'm never happy. I'm a fucking. I need more. It's America. goddamn.
Like I remember when this podcast first started, we hit like 100 views or 100 downloads, and we thought that was like incredible. Then,
Yeah.
Next thing you know, then it was 1,000, and then it was sky's the limit now. And it's just, and to have something like that, it's just so like it's so satisfying to know at the end of the day, like everything that you have is from you, and like and you did it alone.
Yeah.
But then it gets to a certain point to where you need someone like a Chris Bianchi to take it even the next step further.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You can only delegate so much before it's like, hey man, I'm sorry, I can't do that today because I'm doing lights. Well, I can't do lights because I'm tracking the new song. And that's why I started to seek out someone like Chris, and he's been awesome. I can't say it enough.
Yeah.
So 12 Wave War released in November of last year. What went into the process of writing and recording this music? Or, how did the songwriting process work for this album or EP?
Sure. A big one, a point I can't miss is it is our COVID record. We had a lot of downtime, chose to use our time wisely. And I mean, we ran back and forth to all our home studios and crunched away until it was finished, and really enjoyed that downtime. I mean, a lot of us were working from home, so it became a lot easier. We were tracking until like the AM and stuff.
Yeah.
I really wish we could have maybe documented a little bit more because some of the hours we were pulling were hilarious.
It's a blood, sweat, and tears album. It's like one of my proudest achievements, I'd say. It's like that EP, and it fucking took something out of us. You know what I mean? Like it was so much work.
It
And
was.
yeah, I mean, we're so proud of it because like everything there's like, yep, we didn't cut any corners. Like if there was corners to cut that you would normally do on like, you know, a local band EP kind of thing, we're like, you know, at our age and like by this like point in time in like our music careers, we're not fucking cutting corners anymore. We're gonna, you know, everything that we could do, we did it.
And that's evident too with the production quality and the songwriting of these songs on this EP. It's just like I said, when I first got the email from Chris and I was like, all right, you know, you don't really know what to expect. And then I heard it, I was like, whoa. I was like, yeah. Like it's nice to have like artists on here that isn't your generic, like, you know, blast beat, breakdown, blast beat. You know.
Yeah.
Love that stuff too.
We love a lot of that stuff, but I feel like it is so saturated. Like I just get so sick of going places and being like, I heard this when I was 15. You know, we've been doing this shit already. Like
I think my favorite part about our writing is that we make people want more of the heavy stuff. So it's like, you know, we do throw breakdowns in there, but it's like just enough for you to get your lips wet. And it's like, oh shit, I got to listen to that again. And that's like when I'm writing, you know, it's not like I'm intentionally teasing people, but I want that replay moment. I want people to be like, yo, that was like tasteful. And then live, if you never heard our stuff, it's just going to be like heard and dismissed just as quickly. Like, what the fuck is that? You know? And then it's, you know, it's just a writing style that somehow I've come to because I love death metal and like, you know, Oceano, you know, Chelsea Grin, all of that. Just I call it ignorant, but you know, I say that with love. But it's just, you know, just make the stank face and go get like. But you know, there's so many other elements of music and different genres that I try and cherry pick. That the breakdowns are kind of like the treat. It's like, yeah, we've worked hard to get these melodies and like, you know, things to flow well. It's like we'll give you a little something real quick, and then you know we'll go back to Candyland for a little. Move, push and pull, man. That's what it's all about.
Here's a little core.
Yeah,
a second.
right.
Yeah.
But
Now, oh, sorry. Go.
No,
ahead.
I'll just keep rambling. Cut me off. Go.
The one thing that I really love, and it comes with the progressive thing too, and it's almost like a hallmark of the genre, is like the ambient guitar parts. It's just like the building of the soundscapes things. It's just like, I don't know. For me, it's like almost like therapeutic. It's just like so nice to hear that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah.
Granted, I like slam and, you know, old school death metal and all that other stuff too. But it's just like there's something about like a harmony or like a peacefulness of like the ambient parts. Just like make it so much better.
Yeah. The ethereal, the clean guitar thing. That's. I mean, I would say 30% of our guitar production. It's always there.
Probably took 80% of the time too.
Yeah, because of, you know, it's touch based and it's classy and it's like you said, it's downplayed, but it's a big piece of the puzzle too. You know,
and that was the first time we really took clean seriously in our production because I don't think there was a ride bell on our first EP. There wasn't a ride cymbal on the set. I don't think there's any cleans in our first EP. And if there was, it was like layered in. So to have parts of songs completely dedicated to cleans, we were like, we got to make this baller. So like I said, this was like my first time really recording cleans and performing it. And I remember hours, we would just work on one section, and Steph, you know, he produces and engineers all the guitars and bass. He's like, you're hitting too hard. I'm like, okay. You're hitting too soft. I'm like, okay. You're out of tune. I'm like, fuck. Like all three, you know, it's just, and it really shows in the end though, because to me it's seamless. You know, it's like the best performance we could have gotten. And so I'm really thankful for that, because now I know like our clean production is going to take half the time, and now we know where to go. Like we know, you know, what the bottom line is. You know, we can't go below that. And we came out with a killer product as far as those arrangements.
Well, and that's the thing too, in like modern day production with the, you know, the advances of plugins and all that other stuff. It's just so, it's like, once you get that sound, it's easy to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just like, you could just reuse it over and over, and you don't have to worry about, you know, getting the right settings on your twin reverb and all that other,
Right.
all that bullshit.
With that, along with that point, I feel like I drive everybody crazy with this, but the artistry part of performing everything in, we play everything in, and tone searching and trying not to use things like presets and reamping real amps with real speakers that you hear on that record. All that stuff, I think it adds up to that realness, and that's what we're going for, man. So I'm glad you could hear the clean stuff and appreciate that stuff, man, because like I said, it's small compared to the wall of sound stuff. But live, we love the release and then the pushback of the heavy guitars,
Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm a guitar player as well. I mean, nowhere close to the proficiency of you guys, but
I just
I'm always listening to that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah.
So, I guess since we're kind of talking about the studio and stuff now, what do you guys enjoy doing more? Playing these songs out or sitting there and crafting and woodshedding these songs and getting them absolutely perfect?
That's a good question.
I think it hits different.
I like the other
For each
one
guy.
more when I'm doing
For each
one.
guy.
Well, it's like, you get certain satisfaction playing it live, and then a different type of satisfaction being like, all right, we got this down, and it's like Dill was saying, we got performance that I can
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
like getting that
behind.
solid product in the end.
I'll
Fuck
tell
yeah,
you,
I'm leaving that behind when I die.
from the gut, I would lean into the production thing. I think we're a composition style, detail driven band. And not that it goes hand in hand, but the fact that we're not a slam band and we don't write parts just to see kids kick each other's ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would lean into, we love the composition thing more and we love the production thing just about that much more.
Now, have you guys ever written anything and then you sat there and listened to the playback and you're like, fuck, we got to play this?
Oh yeah, yeah.
My biggest
All
thing
of my
is, first of all, I'm just like, fuck, I have to remember how I played all this. Because when I write, it's just like, it's in spurts. And I kind of start in the middle of the essay and I'll write the chorus and then I'll kind of work outwards. And I'll work on verses and then I'll write an intro and then, outro, whatever. And then by the time I get to the third part of the song, I'm just like, what the hell did I play? And I got to go back and listen to all the tracks. And then once it's finally done, sending it to the guys, everyone signs off on it, move to the next song. And then we start tracking that previous one. It's like, dude, I don't even know what this is, So it's, I would say remembering it is the hardest part for me.
That's what I if there's one thing I can say about these fucking get fiddle players, dude, watch their fucking right hands because they're fucking flawless, dude. Like I'd say, these dudes have some of the best right hands in the goddamn area. But at least,
I was about to tell a left-handed joke.
Oh yeah, I was like I'm lefty, man.
Right, but you know what I mean. Like they're picking hands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I'm a guitar player too, so I appreciate it. But
I will say, and not to gloat or be smug, in the song "Fear Before the Rest" that we're gonna spin, it's the passage right before the chorus, and it's like, and that is probably my favorite part to play live because it just looks so cool. Like when people show us videos of it, it's just like us three and Pat on the drums. I mean, it just looks like a firing squad, and all of our hands are just fucking going for it, and it's all downbeat, just like I don't know for how many bars, but we're just going, and it just looks brutal.
We love Slayer too, man. Don't get it wrong, man.
Yeah,
we love
can't
that shit.
deny it. I'm getting all jacked up, man. I'm gonna go home and write now. This shit's sick.
So, how do you guys divide up guitar parts? Is it is something like where you'll write a riff and then you'll write another riff and then you kind of put them together, or is it something like, hey, this is the whole song, what fits with it?
Dill actually does the majority of the writing in the band for this band, so he'll kind of soundscape everything and be like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And occasionally I'll be like, well, let's try and do this in here or this in here. But he's like a songwriting machine. He'll do a ton of riffs and he has all the MIDI behind everything and he just kind of throws it at us.
Yeah, he's a big Logic guy.
Yeah.
And so you'll go through the fucking library and just find the perfect thing.
Yeah. And I'm thankful for Jeremy, because him and we're cut from the same cloth when it comes to metal, but you're more, I would say, on like the thrash, like not the blanket statement, but like Arch Enemy, and me, I'm more of like groove. So a lot of the rhythms that I write, it calls for Jeremy's quickness and like, precision. And for me, it's like I do most of the leads and most of the solos in our live set as well as recording. So that's like, we both show our strengths through our, studio work and our performances. And it's a good balance, because I don't think I could play all those rhythms. I mean, if I worked at it long enough, I could do it, but I feel like we're both at home, where we're at as far as like holding down the rhythm, the chonk, and then, I bring it in with the leads. So it's a good team effort when it comes to like that soundscape you're talking about, because if it was just one-sided, I don't think the sauce, it wouldn't taste the same.
Gotta be.
Good. That's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
So you brought up Arch Enemy. Are you into like Carcass, like Michael Amott, Christopher Amott, like older stuff they were doing?
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely love a lot of thrash. I'm a little bit older than these guys, so I was in a like thrash, Fear Factory, and new metal stuff like Mudvayne and Slipknot and all that stuff when I was younger. So all that stuff was a big influence on me. And then if especially the Fear Factory, like Dino, if you don't get your rhythm hand in check pretty quick with that shit, you're just not you're not gonna be able to play it. So growing up on that kind of helped shape my what I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing too with like Dino and all those other guys, and like Meshuggah and stuff. It's so funny because we all remember when that stuff came out, and it's almost like everything's starting to come full circle now, where these kids are like starting to hear of Meshuggah for the first time and hearing Fear Factory for the first time. It's like, this shit's been out for like ever.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And you know what it is? It's, kids got into bands like Periphery and started asking, how did you guys come up with this? And they went, well, we didn't. It came from this, as it should. And it's like, it's this snowball effect. And sometimes when music, like especially metal, it'll get just more and more and more extreme. And then it seems like all the prog bands kind of bring it really back in for a second. And then it starts going extreme again. And we've actually tried to ride that a little bit and explore tunings and get heavier that way. I'll tell you that on the upcoming record, it's actually going to be our first LP, first full length. We're exploring some even lower tuning territory as well.
Are we gonna hear like a drop F or something?
Close. I will away one of the secrets. We wanted to go, because most of our stuff off of our recent release is in 7-string drop A, so low A and then everything else standard below. And I was just dicking around with some riffs, which actually turned into our instrumental. And I was like, let's just tune this down to G and see what happens. And I was like, I still like the range of having a standard guitar, like E through E, but just having that FU note. I was like, okay, this can work. And whenever I want a bar chord, I was like, it's just a minor third shape and I just slam it. So it's not like this weird, awkward, like, oh, I got to relearn like how to make these awkward chord shapes. It's like, all right, that's already home. And something about that position too feels really good. It's like, feels powerful. And I mean, that's what you want when you're playing in G and below. So expect that. There's definitely a lot more moments to throw down. It's not like we completely flip the script as far as like avoiding melody and avoiding those huge choruses, the moments that really, touch you. But it's like, we got to give it to you a little more. So, just a little
more
bit.
G-force.
A little more G-force. So in that alone, going to that lower tuning, it's like, all right, I'm listening to the Acacia Strain a little more this month. And like, let's see how they do it, not just from like an enjoyable listening standpoint, but as far as like, what are they doing with these notes that make them, the staying power. And also, I'm not like too much of a music nerd. I'm like, well, this has to happen for this to happen. But it's like, where are they going that makes it sound badass? And I think that's a driving force behind our music is we do involve a little bit of theory as far as keeping things consistent. But it's not like we're going to write in Lydia. Oh fuck yeah, I love Lydian. Never mind. All of our shit is Lydian, so ixnay that. But yeah, lower tunings, heavier fucking breakdowns, Papa John's. It's gonna be sick.
So, what are you able to give us as far as an update on the LP, or if anything at all?
We're cutting vocals tomorrow.
Right,
It's a work in
right.
progress.
Yeah. We should have a song
Is it
soon.
9 tracks?
9, yes.
Oh yeah.
9 tracks. We've only done the 2 6. They were both 6-song EPs, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for us is the
LP.
yeah, and to arc through that many more songs is it's definitely gone into our mind, and we wrote as such. You know what I mean? It's not just 9 different songs that don't sound alike or anything at all. We actually, you try to order your tracks that way so that things make sense. And there are some quotes to some other songs, some older songs, for the music geeks out there. See if you can catch it.
Yeah, that's a nice treat. And I know we all listen to different genre types, but instrumental is something that I'm trying to get better at as far as like echoing and involving in a thematic way. Like Pliny off of Paper Moon, he involves this one guitar motif in every one of his songs, but it's like either in a different key or a different mode. And it's so cool how it's like, man, it's like a familiar friend. You're like, oh shit, like that happened in that song. And I think it's going to be special for those, who are, dedicated to our last EP, and it's going to hit. They're like, oh man, like I know that part, I remember singing that part at one other show or something, it's going to be like a little bit of a give back to them moment. And also it's fun just to take melodies that we stand behind and reharmonizing and, repurposing. So.
Is there any talk of a release date yet?
My goal is to give y'all something by the very top of 2023. It'll probably be in the form of 2 tracks. And then a couple months after that, the whole thing. I wish I could give a little more, but
I know Chris likes to be tight-lipped with certain things.
yes, yep. So right. I will say this: we're just about finished with it. We're very close. So I can't wait to share it, man. I'm already excited.
Well, when it comes back or when it comes out, we definitely have to get you guys back on. I mean, then again,
We'd love to.
It could suck, and then whatever. But
Yeah.
Like, oh, this fucking album's killer. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah, man, that shit was awesome. So the last thing I got here for you guys, it's not a question at all, but where can people find you? Where can people find Half Heard Voices? This is your time to, selfishly promote.
Sure. The usual socials, Spotify, our YouTube, we lean into a lot. We have quite a few videos between in studios, official music videos, playthroughs. We have all sorts of stuff. I hope you guys look on there and find the latest for Solstice. It's a video done by Patrick Lawler, who used a sort of AI generated program to kind of paint, or how would you call it, program or
Midjourney?
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
So he would feed it like samples of images. Yeah, it's called Midjourney. It's like it's all over the headlines now, but it was still in beta when he was working on it. So he was just showing us like he can use like sample images and then keywords in between that, just generate like these fucking crazy images. And then his thing is also just like doing like a 2.5D, like taking images and making them into a 3D spectrum. And so you look at these and they were just pictures, but he makes them into like a believable scene. And you're like, I'm moving into this. And it's all Lovecraftian, evil, great old one themes kind of thing, like taking over the world, apocalypse thing. And like, dude, this stuff is moving. It is graphic. It's all over the place.
That video is incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was
he killed it.
one of our favorite moments of our second EP was getting back that video and having somebody apply their artistry to your already existing song, and the fact that it just I mean, it meshed so well, and we gave him a little bit to run with, but we had him, go nuts.
He just you could tell him, what we want, and he fucking knew what to do. He's just he's a great artist, and he has that gift of being able to do that. I mean, but I don't know, was it Polyphia's GOAT, or it's one of their he's done some of their videos, and it's just like fucking wild shit, and I'm like, I want that dude. I want that guy to do our stuff, because he's as ADD as I am when it comes to like visual shit.
But
So-
as far as other platforms, our website, halfheardvoices.com, that's just the umbrella for everything, including our merch store. We got some new merch coming out next month. Got some fun fall items that we've been wanting to get for a while. Spotify, I think we mentioned that. iTunes.
And also all the streaming platforms.
Yeah.
So I say Instagram and YouTube are like our biggest ones if you want to like interact with us.
Yeah, and following us as individuals, we're very active as far as like, I don't want to say we're, update studio time, this, that, and the other, but we do post things that are relevant, kind of a glimpse into our personal lives on how we approach it. And it's, I don't know, I kind of gear it towards music geeks too. Yeah. And I'll talk about like, hey, let me show you how I, came up with this riff that's going to be on the upcoming. So
especially at the moment, while we finish the album, I mean, that's all you're going to see from us. So if you guys, start following through or start kind of tuning in, there's plenty to see of the new record. And if you want to hear sneak peeks, that's the best way, because I do put them up, just not officially, right?
Don't worry, I won't tell Chris. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. This was a blast. I'm excited to hear the new stuff, and I'm excited to get you guys back on to talk about it when it comes out.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us,
Thank
man.
you very much.
Dude, the hour's flown by, man.
Yeah, right. This was a quick one.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on.
All right, brother.
you.
Thanks
Thank you so much, man.
Thank y'all.
Peace.
Yo, what's up, guys? This is Half Heard Voices, and you're listening to the Rage Against the Mainstream podcast. And this is our song, Fear Before the Rest.